let's look at
systems that we had discussed in the previous lecture. Okay, so now this part has been completed. So now I hope you guys remember what we did in the last part, where we discussed about all these quality systems. We watched a video on Six Sigma, we watched a video on zero defects, TQM, international quality standards, and now we watched on benchmarking. So basically, what did we understand by this video? What is benchmarking? Mainly, benchmarking means that you have set a quality standard for a product that you have to produce or a service that you have to provide. So you have set a standard that it shouldn't be below this, your quality of service or your quality of goods. Okay, so now moving on to next part, that is to evaluate the impact on organizations of failing to maintain and improve quality. Okay, so impacts on business operations of failing to maintain and improve quality are, we can see loss of customers and clients. So obviously, if we are not having a good quality product or a good quality service, and we are not producing up to the mark, then we will lose our customers. We will lose our clients. Secondly, damage to business reputation. So if we are not providing up to the mark, then our reputation of the business would decrease. It will fall. And if it will fall, then obviously people would not like to buy from us. So eventually our sales will decrease. Then we have increased costs. So we can see that zero defect, when we watched the video about zero defect, so it told us that we try to minimize our our costs, and we try to maintain the quality at the start, so we don't have to continuously improve it like we do in TQM. So what happens that when we do this, our costs are minimized and our quality becomes good. However, if we fail to do this, then our cost will be increased and we will have to review every product again. We will then have to control every product again. We'll have to again and again go to the quality assurance center or quality assurance department and ask them that, okay, this product wasn't up to mark. They'll have to start again the process, and our cost will eventually increase. Then we have legal implications. So sometimes what happens that, for example, if there's a beauty product you're using and someone gets their face damaged because of that, so obviously your product quality wasn't good, and that is why this happened. So when you're unable to maintain your quality, then these legal implications can also come into being. Like, for example, someone can sue your company that, okay, they damaged my face. So obviously it's going to cost you millions of dollars. So that is why we have to maintain good quality. Then we have effect on staff morale. So obviously, if the product quality is good, the response is coming good from the customers, the response is good, online, on your website, wherever you're working, people know that you're working in a good company. So obviously, as an employee, if you're working there, then you'll feel motivated. You will feel proud of yourself. So obviously, if it's not a good company, you feel ashamed when you'll be telling them, okay, I'm working in this company. So obviously your staff morale will decrease. So they say that quality affects the staff morale as well. It could be positive, it could be negative. Now moving on to the next slide, we have review the systems and suggest modifications that could improve quality in a given organization. So here are some modifications or service systems that we can use. We can use service improvements. We can have concepts applications. We can have documentation. So these are all the processes through which we can, make our organization better, so they can improve their quality. So service improvements mean that after sales service, so that comes in that if my company has good after sales service, then my quality of the organization is good. Then we have concepts applications. So what is this? That whatever concept you're applying to your organization, it should be applicable. So there are many theories or many, uh, studies that are given by the philosophers, but not every theory or study it is applicable to the organization. So you should use theories and applications that are applicable and that work best for your organization, because not every theory or not every concept will go with your organization. Then we have documentation. So whatever you're doing, whatever is coming into your organization, whatever is going out, your inputs, your outputs, what you're selling, what you're receiving, your finances, if you're investing in some other company, if you have machinery, equipment, everything has to be documented. Then we have administrative processes. So whatever the admin has to look at, they have to look at all the people that are working in the organization, how they are working, who is coming in, who is going out. Like we have punch systems in our organizations and so on. Then we have application of standards for monitoring, feedback, and review. So this work is done by the HR. They have to monitor every employee. They have to then provide them with feedback. They have to and review their progress again and again, that if they are working up to the mark or not. Then we have action on improvement. So if anything is going wrong, if anything is not happening up to the mark in the organization, is if there is any problem in the machinery, equipment, then you have to get it fixed ASAP. Then we have performance indicators. So performance indicators is normally used when we are working with your employees, not with the machinery. So you have to keep them up to date, and you have to, as in if there is an employee, he is making mistakes again and again, then you have to train them. And then we have response time. So response time should be less. The less the response time, the better, because it means that you are acting upon that problem effectively and quickly. Okay, moving on. Moving towards unit 3, that is to understand the impact of organizational performance and culture on quality management. It says to assess the role of self-management, self-assessment in determining an organization's current performance. Okay, so using self-assessment tools, an employer can determine how key employees look at the problem, solve them, work with others, and react to pressure. So the same thing that we discussed in the previous slide, that how you have performance indicators to take care of your employees, to check on them. This allows the employer to place different personality types together to create the best organizational structure, departments, and divisions. So because of that, because now you know that how your employees are working, what are their personality types, what are their personality traits, you can easily allow them to work in groups. Okay, so the first one is validity of process, subjective nature, and biasness. So QMS, or quality management uh, systems. So validation is a process of checking that a system or process is compliant with a defined set of requirements. So this is the same thing that we have discussed in the previous slide as well, that you have a standard, you have a benchmark that you have to rely on. It is an essential part of quality control, which refers to the various actions taken to improve the quality of goods and services. So basically, you have a benchmark. Then we have one dimensional. So there are different dimensions, like there is, for example, if you want to assess the performance, so you can check the performance, the features, the reliability, conformance, durability, aesthetics, and perceived quality. So this is these things you can check in your products as well, and as well as in your employees, that are they reliable, are they conformant, are they what is their performance, and so on. Then we have comparison. So comparison means that you compare with past performance, you compare against competition. Like for example, if you're working in the industry for 5 years, you can compare with your own performance at how you were doing last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Or you can compare against your competitors, that what is the other company doing who is related to you, and then against benchmark or industry standards. So this is the same thing that we discussed in the video. Okay, moving on to 3.2. Analyze the impact of organizational culture on quality management. So, culture has many things. We can see a culture has language, religion, values, attitudes, customs, education, infrastructure, and work attitudes. So, it says that all of these things, they affect the uh, quality in an organization, because every culture is different. So every organization's culture will be different, and it is important to retain what makes your company unique. However, the cultures of high performing organizations, they consistently reflect certain qualities that you should seek to cultivate. Like for example, there is alignment with the with the company's objectives and its employees motivation. All are pulling in the same direction. Like exceptional organizations work to build continuous alignment to their vision, purpose, and goals. So whatever they want to achieve, they try that their employees understand that thing and that they work towards that. Then we have like you can appreciate your employees as well. So that also makes a good organizational culture. Like you can give a public kudos to them. You could give them a note of thanks. You could provide them with a promotion. You could take them out for lunch. You could do anything. So a culture of appreciation is one in which all the team members, they frequently provide recognition and thanks for contribution of others. So there will be a more of an employee empowerment in the organization that will help. Then we have that trust. Trust is also vital to any organization. So with a culture of trust, team members can express themselves and rely on others to have their back when they try something new. So these are all the things that help a company culture to become better. As we can see, if there are less language barriers, it would be easier. If the religion will be, if people are accepting of other people's religion, it will be a good company culture. If they have same values, like they have to perform better, they have to perform good, they don't have to do any theft or something. So that would be good. Attitude of the people should be positive. There should be positive vibes. Customs should be, if it is better if the customs are more relatable, if the people are not that accepting. But however, there are many organizations that like to diversify their employees. So many people from different backgrounds, different cultures, they bring in their customs and traditions. So that also helps people to become more aware. Then we have education, infrastructure, and work attitudes. Okay. So the first thing is, and this point is same with the previous as well, that align culture with strategy and process. Do do your mission, your vision, and the value lines up with the HR processes, like including your HR, your performance management, compensation, benefits, and the promotion of your talent. So everything should be aligned with the organizational culture, whatever you're doing, your mission, your vision, everything. Then the second one is connect culture and accountability. So it is very easy, particularly in difficult times, to forget the values you set in place to define your company. So, however, the companies have a better chance of withering through disaster if they take their responsibilities for their actions. So, what you're doing is basically you're trying to make every employee be responsible for their actions. So, if employee is performing poorly and not working up to the mark and not producing a product of quality, so you have to make them accountable. Like they should be asked that why? Why haven't you performed uh, up to the mark? Then we have visible. This means that for a culture change to stick, like it has to be glued into your organization, it must be a priority of the CEO and the board of directors that they have to show the broad framework of understanding the organizational culture and its impact on the performance. So like what they have to do, that they have to show them, they have to make these visible, that okay, if you won't be performing up to the mark, then we can have these consequences for that. So when you work with the work with the board of directors and the CEO, so what happens that it creates a standing performance objective that you have to focus on. So obviously there are many organizations in which the CEOs are involved with the employees. However, if we look in developing countries, those CEOs are not really um, uh, uh, they don't have a proper communication with your employees. So but in big companies, the CEO is very present and they are working with their employees as well, side by side. So this is also very important, that they have to show them that if you will do this, then we will have this positive effect. If you do this, we will have this negative effect. Then we have define the non-negotiables. So when you are contemplating a culture change, look at your current culture and then call out which aspects you want to retain. So which things you want to keep. So then you have to determine that what's not up for debate is particularly important during mergers and acquisitions. So this normally happens when a company is going through a merger or an acquisition. So when leaders of two or more organizations, they have to figure out that how we have to blend the identities. So obviously, when two companies are merging together, there there are many problems. There are communication problems. There are quality problems. So this point is talking about, and when you're going through the situation, then what you have to do, you have to define your non-negotiables. You have to tell them, you have to like decide, the two of the leaders, the two CEOs have to decide that okay, these are the things we can compromise on and these are the things we can't compromise on. Then we have align your culture with your brand. So culture must resonate with both your employees and the marketplace. So to accomplish this, the HR department, they increasingly they are partnering up with marketing, and they study the relevant information. They study that how businesses are doing this, how they are aligning their culture with their brand, and so on. So this helps a business to understand that what is important to them in their culture and how they can implement it in the brand. Then we have measure your efforts. So you have to help demonstrate the effectiveness of your efforts by implementing employee service and analyzing the gaps between desired and the actual behavior. So what you're doing, you're basically the HR department does this, that they measure the efforts and they are having employee surveys. They have to check them. That, okay, are the employees happy in the organization? If they're not, do they need anything? Are they satisfied? How is their morale? And so on. Then we have don't rush it. So changing a culture can take anywhere from like a few months to several years. So when you have to start by making sure that there's a clear rationale for why the company should change. So it's not like we just want to change it. You have to let the people settle in. You have to let the other company's employees settle in. The people that you have to make redundant, you have to make them understand as well that why are we firing you? Why? Like what is the reason? So you have to take things slow. Then we have point number 8, that is invest now. So don't wait for your staff and resources that may never come. So it takes years of investment to get to the point where your culture just automatically becomes part of how you behave and how you act. So the person is talking about that, that just invest now, because in the future you don't know that if these resources will be wasted or will you be having them or not. So whatever you do, whatever you want to do for your quality, to maintain that quality, you need to invest in it now. Then we have be bold and lead. So you don't have to be in a to position of influence to influence. So like it doesn't matter if you're a leader or if you're a team member. If you know something good, if you know that this plan would work, then you have to be bold and you have to start leading. So this is all for this slide. Moving on. Then we have evaluate the need for staff consultation when implementing a quality management system and describe the consultation process that could be used. So now we can see the staff consultation, setting the scene, rationale for review, processes involved, needs, requirements, and commitment from employee, communication and reporting mechanisms between management and employees, ensuring the team are updated and engaged, implementation and feedback. So what we have to do, we have to consult our staff while we're trying to implement our quality management. So the first one is setting the scene. So you have to include everyone, like the employees, the managers, the line managers, the department heads. Everybody has to be there, and they have to know the whole scene. They have to know the whole situation, that what is basically going on. Then we have rationale for review. So you have to be logical when you're reviewing your things, okay? So you have to understand each and everything. It's not just all theories that you just apply them blindly. You have to look at your past results, your past performances, your resources, your HR, your capital, your funding, everything, and we have to review them. Then we have to look at the processes that are involved in everything that we're doing. Like, for example, how the equipment is working, how the employees are performing, how the managers are performing, everything that is going on. How are your products being distributed? How are your customers, are responding to your products and so on. Then we have needs, requirements, and commitment from employees. So if we are fulfilling their needs, if we are fulfilling if we are satisfying them, if their morale is high, then obviously they will give you commitment. So you need to satisfy your employees first as well. It's not like that you treat them very harshly and then you expect them that they give you commitment. Then we have communication and reporting mechanisms between management and employees. So there should be good communication. There are many organizations that don't have good communications. Like if the employee has any problem and he wants to communicate that to the manager, but he can't. Why? Because the communication gap is too much, and the manager is like too rough and tough, and he doesn't even want to listen to the employee, or he just becomes too angry, and the employee's like, okay, let's just leave it. I don't want to even discuss my problem. Sometimes this even happens that the person gets harassed and the employee doesn't even want to talk to the manager. Why? Because the manager is he or she isn't that much friendly, or like he or she has a communication gap that he or she has set. So it is very difficult for the employees or management. Then we have ensuring the team are updated and engaged. So this is the same thing, that you have to ensure that everyone is involved, and if there are any changes that are taking place, then they should be informed about them. Not that last minute they are telling an employee that you will be fired because we are having an accusation or we're doing a merger. And then we have implementation, feedback, and review. So, like we discussed in the first slides about how quality has to be continuous. So, quality management has to be continuous. So, over here as well, where when we are consulting staff for our for consultation, when we're doing staff consultation, so over here we are also, in a way, we are working on our quality management, right? So we are over here, we're working on our uh, uh, on our quality of the staff. So we have to implement the processes that we have made, then we have to take feedback from our employees, and then we have to review. So we have to make a continuous improvement again and again with our employees over here, so we know that what are the problems and what are the solutions. And then if there is an employee that is unable to perform better, we can provide them with trainings. If they need money, if they have any financial problems, we can help them, and so on. So what you'll be doing, it's like a continuous loop that is going on. So you're doing implementation, you're getting feedback, then you're reviewing. If anything is not proper, then you work on it again. And that is all for this chapter.